You were taught that the highest form of connection is to be understood, that vulnerability is a strength, and transparency is a virtue. This is the most dangerous lie you have ever been told. It is a peacetime philosophy for a world that is permanently at war. Every interaction is an intelligence operation. Your desire to be seen, to be known, to be validated, is not a bridge to another person. It is an open broadcast of your entire psychological operating system. Your hopes, your fears, your ambitions, these are not confessions. They are data points, and there are those who do not listen to you to connect with you. They listen to decrypt you. They are not seeking your soul. They are mapping your vulnerabilities. They are not your allies. They are architects of influence, looking for the load-bearing walls of your character so they know precisely where to strike to make the whole structure collapse. While you seek empathy, they are running diagnostics. You are an open book, and they are speed-reading the table of contents for the chapter on your undoing. This is not a manual on how to be liked. It is a blueprint for becoming illegible to those who would use your own humanity against you. The game is not about being seen. It is about controlling what is seen, when it is seen, and to whom. Forget connection. You must first learn control. You have been conditioned to see the world in terms of partnership and symbiosis. You believe that human connection is a balanced exchange, a mutual flow of energy between two equals. This belief is not just wrong, it is the entry point for your own subjugation. The fundamental dynamic of this world is not symbiosis, it is parasitism. Every social ecosystem contains two distinct life forms, the host and the parasite. The host is the giver, the producer, the one who generates warmth, trust, and validation. You have been trained your entire life to be the perfect host, open, generous, and endlessly accommodating. The parasite, however, operates under a different code. It does not produce, it extracts. It does not seek to build with you, it seeks to feed on you. The parasite attaches itself not with force, but with finesse. It studies your ecosystem, learning the rhythms of your generosity and the triggers of your guilt. It disguises its hunger as affection, its demands as needs, its control as care. It latches onto your emotional bloodstream, siphoning your energy, your confidence, and your will. Its greatest trick is to make you believe that the exhaustion you feel is the cost of love, that being drained is the same as being needed. While you believe you are sustaining a connection, you are merely sustaining an organism that offers nothing in return. It thrives in the climate of your self-doubt. It grows stronger with every apology you make, every boundary you sacrifice, every secret you offer up for consumption. This is the central conflict. It is not about good versus evil. It is about a biological imperative. The parasite must feed, and the host must either learn to identify it and starve it out, or be consumed until nothing is left but an empty shell. Your first task is to stop being a willing food source. You must learn to recognize the difference between a guest in your life and an infection in your system. You believe the parasite chooses its host by chance. You are wrong. The parasite is a master of conservation. It does not waste energy on strong, unpredictable targets. It is a hunter that follows a scent, an organism that detects a chemical signature. It is looking for you, but only if you are broadcasting the right signals. Your weakness is not a moral failing, it is a broadcast. It is the unconscious trail of evidence you leave behind, telling every predator in the ecosystem that you are a low-risk, high-yield investment. The first signal is the Tell of Justification. You have been trained to believe that a boundary is not complete without an explanation. When you say no, you feel a compulsive need to follow it with because. You think this makes your refusal reasonable. In reality, it is an act of submission. An explanation is not a shield, it is a negotiation. When you justify your boundary, you are handing the parasite the very blueprint for how to dismantle it. You say, "I can't help you tonight because I'm exhausted." You think you are setting a limit. What the parasite hears is, "I am vulnerable when I am tired." You say, "I can't lend you that money because I have my own bills to pay." You believe you are being responsible. What the parasite hears is, "My sense of security is tied to my finances," a vulnerability that can be exploited with guilt. Every reason you give is a piece of intelligence. It reveals the structure of your defenses. It tells them what levers to pull next time. A truly powerful boundary is a sterile statement of fact. It is a closed door. No, full stop. An explanation is an invitation to pick the lock. It says, "My wall is here, but here are the loose bricks. Please feel free to test them." The host explains. The sovereign actor decides. You must burn the word "because" from your vocabulary of self-defense. Your refusal requires no validation. It is the validation. The second signal is the echo of agreement. Watch yourself in conversation. When confronted with an idea you dislike, a subtle joke at your expense, or a statement that tests your principles, what do? The host reflex is to placate. A nervous smile, a non-committal nod, a soft, "I see what you mean." You call this keeping the peace. It is not. It is a field test of your spine, and you are failing it. Every time you nod along to something you don't believe, you are signaling your pliability. You are demonstrating that your comfort is more important than your conviction. The parasite uses these small moments as sonar. It sends out a provocative ping and waits for the echo. Your nervous agreement is that echo. It confirms that you can be bent. It tells them that you will absorb a small injustice to avoid a moment of friction. And once they know you will absorb a small injustice, they know it is only a matter of scale and time before you absorb a large one. They are not looking for a friend. They are calibrating your tolerance for disrespect, your silence, your neutral expression, your refusal to mirror their false warmth. This is not aggression. It is jamming their signal. It creates a dead zone where their sonar cannot reach. You must learn to become a black hole for social pressure, a space where their expectations go to die. Stop echoing. Start absorbing, processing, and reflecting nothing. The third and most fatal signal is the bleed of unsolicited honesty. You carry your vulnerabilities around like open wounds, believing that showing them will earn you compassion. You confess your insecurities, your anxieties, your secret hopes to those who have not earned the right to hear them. You mistake an acquaintance for a confessor. This is the psychological equivalent of bleeding in shark-infested waters. A parasite does not see your vulnerability as a sign of trust. It sees it as an exposed artery. When you say, "I'm so worried I'm not good enough for this job," they don't hear a cry for reassurance. They hear, "My professional confidence is fragile and can be easily undermined." When you admit, "I have a deep fear of being abandoned," they don't feel empathy. They feel the thrill of discovering your primary operating fear, the very button they can press to control your behavior. Your confessions are not building a bridge. They are providing them with an instruction manual for your demolition. Stop narrating your internal state. Your thoughts, your fears, and your ambitions are a strategic reserve. They are not for public consumption. You must learn the difference between intimacy and exposure. Intimacy is the calculated sharing of your inner world with a vetted ally. Exposure is the desperate, unconditional broadcast of your soul to anyone who will listen. The parasite thrives on the latter. It is looking for the free sample, the easy data point, the emotional reconnaissance it doesn't have to work for. Your first act of power is to stop the bleeding. Cauterize the wound. Your inner world is a fortress, not a public square. Grant access on a need-to-know basis, and understand that almost no one needs to know. These three behaviors, justification, agreement, and emotional bleeding, are the signals that identify you as a host. They are the pheromones of the prey. To the parasite, they are the scent of a warm meal. It is not your kindness that is killing you. It is your predictability. It is your desperate need to be understood by a world that is only interested in decrypting you. Your task is not to become a better person. It is to become a harder target. And what is the price for broadcasting these signals? It is not a sudden attack. It is a hostile takeover of your entire reality. You do not see it as a war, because the parasite uses the language of the boardroom, not the battlefield. Your Tell of Justification is the first crack in your fiduciary duty to yourself. You think you are explaining your decision. In reality, you are leaking your private financial data to a corporate raider. The parasite sees your emotional debts and your psychological liabilities. It listens to your because and calculates the precise point of leverage needed to force a merger on its terms. It does not argue with your boundary. It simply uses the data you provided to draft a contract of control you feel obligated to sign. Your echo of agreement is a slow, steady transfer of voting shares. With every nervous nod, every polite smile at a subtle insult, you dilute your own authority. You are voting to install the parasite on your personal board of directors. At first, it is a non-executive position. Soon, it is a voting member, shaping policy, vetoing your decisions, and rewriting the corporate charter of your own identity. You are no longer the majority shareholder in your own life. You are now in a partnership with your own predator. But the bleed of unsolicited honesty is the final, irreversible action. This is not a data leak. It is handing over the master key to the system. You are giving the parasite the proprietary algorithm of your soul. With this information, it no longer needs to persuade you. It can now impersonate you. It runs simulations of your fears and desires, making decisions on your behalf before you are even aware a choice must be made. You become a figurehead in the company of yourself, a ghost in your own machine. The ultimate cost is not that you are consumed. The cost is that you become redundant. The parasite does not destroy the company. It acquires it, strips it for assets, and leaves you as the silent, powerless chairman of a life you no longer own. You are hollowed out not by force but by contract. A contract you willingly co-signed with every justification, every nod, and every confession. You have allowed the breach. The hostile takeover is in progress. To reverse it, you cannot simply fight back. Fighting implies you are still playing their game, on their turf. You must rewrite the rules of the system itself. This is not a guide to negotiation. It is a manual for psychological cybersecurity. You will learn to install the 3 core protocols that make your entire operating system impenetrable. The first protocol is the Firewall. Your current system is an open network. Every emotional probe, every baited question, every flattering remark is a data packet that is accepted without inspection. You have no filter. The parasite sends a packet of guilt, and your system immediately runs the program, producing an apology. It sends a packet of fake praise, and your system runs the program, producing a sense of obligation. The Firewall protocol ends this. From now on, you treat all incoming social data as potentially malicious until proven otherwise. The Firewall is not a wall of anger or aggression. It is a cold, emotionless filter. Its function is to inspect data, not to feel it. When someone attempts to provoke you with a subtle insult, you do not get angry. Your Firewall analyzes the packet, identifies it as a primitive denial-of-service attack designed to overwhelm your emotional processing, and simply drops it. You do not respond. You do not flinch. You do not even acknowledge it. To the sender, it is as if their attack was lost in transmission. There is no confirmation of delivery. When someone sends a packet of excessive flattery, you are the only one who can help me with this. The Firewall does not allow it to reach your ego. It identifies the payload, a Trojan horse designed to install a backdoor of future obligation. The Firewall's response is not gratitude. It is a sterile, neutral log entry. A simple "I see," or a slight, unreadable nod. You are not rejecting them. You are refusing to execute their code. They are sending you programs designed to run on your emotional hardware, and you are treating them as inert text files. This neutrality is the most devastating response. They expect a reaction, positive or negative, to confirm the connection is live. The Firewall gives them a dead port. It tells them, there is no vulnerability here. Your software is incompatible with this system. The second protocol is the quarantine. The parasite's greatest tactical advantage is speed. It creates urgency, demanding instant decisions, immediate answers, and reflexive emotional responses. It knows that a system under pressure is a system that makes mistakes. The quarantine protocol reclaims the power of time. You no longer react in real time. You isolate threats for analysis. When a demand arrives wrapped in manufactured urgency, a text that says "we need to talk now," or a request that pressures you for an immediate commitment, you do not answer. You do not even process it. You mentally select the message and drag it to a quarantine folder. It sits there, isolated from your main operating system, unable to influence your processes. The parasite expects an immediate reply, a flurry of panicked energy. Instead, it gets silence. But this is not passive silence. It is the active silence of a system performing a deep scan. While the threat is in quarantine, you are in complete control. You analyze the sender. You identify the motive. You dissect the payload. What is the true request behind the urgent demand? What fear are they attempting to trigger? What weakness are they probing? The delay is not for your comfort, it is for their unraveling. In that space you create, the parasite is forced to reveal its hand. It will often send a follow-up packet, more charged than the first. It might be angry. It might be pleading. This new data is invaluable. It is the diagnostic report on their own instability. They are showing you their entire toolkit because their first weapon failed. Only after your analysis is complete do you choose to act. You might delete the threat entirely, offering no response. Or you might craft a precise, calculated reply that addresses none of their emotional bait, surgically extracting only what serves your agenda. You have moved from being the reactor to the assessor. You do not live in the chaos of the immediate. You operate from the cold, sterile calm of the quarantine chamber. The third and most advanced protocol is Active Camouflage. A firewall and a quarantine are defensive. They are about hardening the perimeter. Active Camouflage is offensive. It is the practice of projecting false data to misdirect, confuse, and exhaust the attacker. The parasite is a cartographer trying to map your inner world. Active Camouflage gives it a flawless, beautiful, and utterly fake map. The predictable target becomes vague. The ambiguous target becomes unreadable. But the masterful target becomes a source of strategic misinformation. When the parasite digs for your ambitions, hoping to find an insecurity to exploit, you do not refuse to answer. You feed it a plausible, well-constructed, but entirely fabricated goal. You speak of a desire to climb a corporate ladder you have no interest in, or an artistic passion that is merely a hobby. The parasite will now waste its resources. It will plot against a ghost. It will lay traps for a phantom version of you, while your true objectives advance completely undetected, in the dark. This is not lying. Lying is a weak defense offered by someone who is scared. This is tactical misdirection. It is the art of the feint. In conversation, you become a generator of conflicting signals. One day, you are warm and engaging. The next, you are distant and analytical. You show interest in a topic, only to discard it tomorrow. You are not being erratic. You are scrambling their data collection efforts. They are trying to build a psychological profile, but the data points you provide are contradictory. Their algorithm cannot find a pattern. They cannot predict your behavior because your behavior is not a reflection of your state. It is a weapon designed to destroy their certainty. The parasite thrives on knowing the terrain. Active Camouflage turns your psychological landscape into a shifting labyrinth. Every path leads to a dead end. Every landmark is a mirage. They think they are mapping your fortress, but you have given them the blueprints to a decoy. While they are busy planning an assault on a fiction, you are moving freely, silently, achieving your real objectives without ever appearing on their radar. These three protocols, the firewall, the quarantine, and active camouflage, are your new operating system. They do not just protect you. They turn the parasite's own methods against it. They drain its resources, expose its motives, and dismantle its confidence. You are no longer the vulnerable user, clicking on every malicious link. You are the system administrator. You control the flow of information. You dictate the terms of engagement, and you decide who gets access, who gets blocked, and who gets fed a lie. You are reclaiming the machine. Your defensive protocols are now installed. The firewall blocks their code. The quarantine dismantles their urgency. The camouflage makes you unreadable. But a fortress, no matter how strong, is still a static target. It waits to be attacked. This is the logic of survival. We are now moving into the logic of dominance. Your system will not merely defend itself, it will become a weapon. You will learn to turn the parasite's hunger into a tool for its own destruction. This requires two offensive protocols. The first is the honeypot. Active camouflage taught you to feed the parasite false data to confuse it. The honeypot teaches you to feed it irresistible data to trap it. A parasite is a creature of appetite. It is drawn to specific vulnerabilities like a predator to the scent of blood. You will now manufacture that scent. You will identify what the parasite most wants to find: an insecurity about your status, a fear of professional failure, a weakness in a past relationship, and you will construct a perfect artificial version of it. You will stage a small, controlled emotional bleed, offering up a piece of bait so tempting it cannot be ignored. The parasite will believe it has finally found the master key. It will latch on with ferocious certainty, investing its energy and resources into exploiting this fabricated weakness. But this is not a weakness. It is a digital sandbox. It is an observation chamber. While the parasite is busy attacking a ghost, you are not defending. You are studying. You are logging its tactics, mapping its patterns of escalation, and diagnosing the pathetic simplicity of its psychological machinery. It is showing you its entire playbook, believing it is winning the war, when in fact it has been lured into a simulation from which you will extract every last piece of its strategic intelligence. The second protocol is system inversion. The parasite's entire model is based on extraction. It gives counterfeit affection to extract real validation. It manufactures guilt to extract compliance. It creates a deficit in you that only it can fill. System inversion reverses this flow. You will now become the extractor. When the parasite offers a compliment, a small favor, or unsolicited advice, you do not reject it. You do not show gratitude. You accept it with a cool, neutral gravity. A simple noted, or you'll consider that. You treat their offering not as a gift, but as a data point they have submitted for your review. You are creating a new kind of debt. Not an emotional debt you feel obligated to repay, but a strategic debt they have incurred. They have invested a piece of their energy, and you have given them nothing in return. No validation, no warmth, no reaction. You have absorbed their asset and converted it into your leverage. The interaction is now imbalanced in your favor. They are the ones who feel the slight unease, the need to try again, to invest more to get the reaction they crave. They came to establish your dependency on them. Instead, they have become dependent on a response you will never give. You have inverted the system. You are no longer the resource. You are the bank, and their account is empty. Your protocols are now active. The honeypot baits the attacker. System inversion starves them of the validation they crave. You have learned to manipulate the network, but you are still connected to it. You are running your superior software on hardware that is still dependent on an external power grid. Every offensive and defensive maneuver is ultimately meaningless if you must still plug into the world for your power. The final stage of your evolution is to sever that connection. It is time to achieve total operational sovereignty. This is the process of building your own power plant. Your current self is a terminal that draws its energy from the grid of social consensus. Your confidence runs on the electricity of praise. Your stability is powered by the approval of others. Your sense of worth is metered by external validation. The parasite does not need to breach your firewall if it can simply cut your power supply. To become truly untouchable, you must become your own source. This is not a metaphor. It is an engineering directive. You will begin by conducting a full-scale energy audit of your own system. For 1 week, your only task is to observe and log. When a compliment makes you feel good, log it. That is a dependency. When a criticism stings, log it. That is a vulnerability. When the silence of others makes you feel anxious, log it. That is a critical failure in your core programming. You are identifying every single circuit in your being that is powered by an external source. Your goal is not to judge these findings. It is to map them. You are an engineer diagnosing a faulty system, and that system is you. Once the audit is complete, you begin the process of decommissioning your dependencies. This is the cold forge. Each dependency you mapped is an impurity in the steel of your will, a weakness that will shatter under pressure. You will now systematically starve them. You will purposefully deprive yourself of the validation you crave. You will expose yourself to the silence you fear. You will treat the praise and criticism of others not as fuel, but as neutral, ambient noise. This process will be painful. It is the psychic equivalent of weaning an addict. The system will scream for its fix. You must let it scream until it learns to generate its own power from the only source that matters. your own unbreakable will to exist on your own terms. This extends beyond the emotional. You must own your material infrastructure, your time, your finances, your skills. These are not just assets. They are the physical servers that your sovereignty runs on. Every debt you carry is a backdoor for a predator. Every skill you lack is a reliance on another system. Every minute you waste is energy you have ceded to the grid. Building wealth, mastering skills, and controlling your time are not lifestyle choices. They are acts of secession. You are building a fortress that is also the factory, the farm, and the armory. The protocols taught you how to win the game. This internal alchemy is about making the game irrelevant. You no longer seek to control the flow of energy from others because you are no longer a part of their grid. You are a self-sustaining ecosystem. Your value is not determined by their market. Your energy is not drawn from their supply. You are the source. You are the grid. The war for your reality is over, not because you won, but because you have built a new one, where you are the only citizen and the absolute sovereign. You have mistaken the goal. You did not execute this grand project of psychological engineering merely to become a better operator of the machine. The protocols, the honeypots, the private power plant, these were not designed to make you a more efficient warden of your own fortress. They were the components you needed to achieve the final state change, to evolve from being a program running on the world's hardware to becoming the hardware itself. You are no longer a node on the network. You are the server farm, the operating system, and the source code, all contained within a single, sovereign consciousness. What you present to the world is not a mask or a camouflage. It is a user interface. It is a clean, functional, and intentionally limited abstraction of the infinite complexity that is your true self. Others can interact with the interface. They can send their queries, run their pathetic little diagnostic scripts, and receive the outputs you have coded it to provide. But they can never access the core. Their attempts at manipulation are now meaningless. They are like a user trying to hack a supercomputer by shouting at the monitor. They are trying to crack a password for a system that has no login screen. They probe your interface for weakness, but the interface has no weaknesses. It is a deliberate construction, a perfectly designed conduit of information that reveals nothing of the engine running behind it. They are interacting with a projection, while your true self, your will, your ambition, operates in the cold, silent, self-sustaining dark. The war is over. Not because you defeated the parasites, but because you have transcended the battlefield. They are still playing a game of input and output, action and reaction, stimulus and response. You are no longer a player. You are the physics of your own private universe. Your value is axiomatic. Your will is the only law. And your peace is absolute, because it is generated from within a system that no one else has the architecture to comprehend, let alone compromise. They are bound by the code of human interaction. You are the code that